I broke out in a cold sweat as I stared at the wristband.
Cheerful Fantasyland membership.
But the words that had changed from admission ticket to membership didn't revert, and the material that had become oddly luxurious and ornate remained the same. It's an unexpected situation, but what I have to do hasn't changed. Scan the wristband at the gate and leave. Membership or whatever, I just won't come back. The blue mascot tilted its head slightly to the side. I stepped toward the gate scanner to scan my wristband, but the mascot blocked my way. Why are you doing this?
I'm not as much of a good kid as you think.
The blue mascot's claw gently, ever so softly, covered my wristband, and a voice resonated.
To one who knows honor.
A cough burst from my mouth. What just happened? Could it be? Because the ticket changed to a membership. The blue dragon mascot seemed flustered as I spat out blood, fidgeting anxiously, and then pulled something out from its pocket and offered it to me. It seemed to be a snack sold inside the theme park. Yeah, I'm definitely not eating that.
But I'd like to take it home and eat it.
The mascot was insistent, to the point that it turned off the gate machine. The lights went out at the north exit and the shutter came down. I stared blankly at the scene. I couldn't grasp what was happening at all. But I didn't make the foolish move of arguing. I might end up like the researcher. I definitely wanted to avoid that. For now, I'm not in immediate mortal danger here. Let's find an alternative. I stepped back from the gate. As I ran off, the blue mascot kept watching me. I went into the water park's locker room and collapsed onto a bench. To sum up, the mascot suddenly called me a good kid, handed me a membership, and closed the gate shutter. In other words, I'm trapped here. Wait, but what's with this good kid thing anyway? The researcher was a bad kid, and I'm a good kid. Is it because I saved my teammates a few times? Yeah, that's the most plausible reason. By chance, I did help people in dangerous situations a few times. So as a reward, they're letting me play in the theme park forever. This is driving me nuts. This is inside a B-class creepypasta. No matter how friendly and seemingly safe that mascot appears, it means I don't know when or where some dangerous and bizarre crazy thing might happen. There's no exploration record of anyone staying more than 24 hours. Once it goes over 24 hours, it means everyone dies or disappears. Even if I interpret it optimistically and think that since the admission ticket is a one-day pass, and I am a member now, so I might be okay, the most crucial thing here is that I have no information. I racked my brain, feeling like I wanted to bite my tongue. Maybe due to the fatigue of the past few hours, my thinking was sluggish. I can't win against the mascot in a fight. I can't sneak in and turn on the gate machine. And I used up all my coins earlier. In a hurry, seeing Y Squad rookie Jang Heo-un fall, I threw whatever I could grab, which was a blunder. I pressed my fingers against my eyelids. I don't have a button to communicate with the people outside, so I can't expect help from D Squad. The items I have are the smiley sticker. It's not something to use when the problem is that their favorability is already too high. It's the same with the 2x potion or 0.5x cookie. They only have meaning if there's an effect to synergize with. Do I really have nothing? The more I worried, the deeper I seemed to sink. As I was sinking into gloom, a light flickered above my head.
Dark Exploration Records Real Merch Box. New merch unlocked.
It's the black notepad, the merch box. Without even taking a breath, I pressed it immediately. Is this a lifeline? No, anything would do. I needed even the smallest hint, anything. I picked up the item wrapped transparently in plastic. It was small enough to fit in my palm and fluffy.
Dark Exploration Records Daydream Inc. It's your cute animal doll. It will always be with you and protect you. Product description on the packaging from the Cheerful Theme Park gift shop.
I recalled the phrase on the board game box.
Be the first team to ride all 3 fantasy attractions with your teammates and win spectacular prizes.
In the Cheerful Theme Park, the team that rode all 3 attractions the fastest could take one of various items from the gift shop as a prize. Come to think of it, the supervisor park mentioned earlier that they received a prize. And of course, the theme park gift shop in the ghost story often had bizarre items mixed in. There was even an exploration record that sorted the list of prizes people had taken, and this was one of the most famous items among them. In the original story, it was a plush doll small enough to fit into a child's arms. But as merch, it was reborn as a small keychain-sized doll that fit into my hand. So the unlock requirement for this merch was to be a participant in the cheerful theme park. Unless you were someone who had visited the theme park, it was just a plush doll with no function. But since I had used up all my admission tickets, it seems I unlocked the requirement. And the ability of this plush doll is...
A strange item that invites someone from the other world, allowing a part of their spirit to dwell in the doll and become your friend. It rarely appears in the gift shop of the. For detailed invitation records, refer below.
Under normal circumstances, I would have thought it through carefully and set up safety measures before attempting. Inviting someone from the other world. It's the perfect description for the start of a creepypasta. But I don't have the time or leisure for that now. Because I desperately need the advice of someone who understands the workings of creepypastas. I took out my smartphone, equipped with the memorial grip, and opened the Good Friend tab in the app.
The required items are as follows. Materials for the invitation, matches, or a lighter, 1 tablespoon of salt, and an item related to a friend.
This locker room is perfect. Outside is noisy with water sounds and music, so this is the best place. I can somehow get a lighter, water, and salt inside this theme park, whether by stealing or requesting from a shop. The problem is the next 2 items. An item related to a friend. I have no coins left, I used them all. And the item related to a friend, actually, it's included to enhance the fun of the creepypasta. If you put in a fairy tale book, a monster from that story motif would come. What should I do to make it as safe as possible? No, I was reluctant to offer something from this theme park as an item related to a friend. Isn't this place itself already a creepypasta? In the end, after much deliberation, I settled on 2 items, hoping that this substitution would work. I placed the torch and the salt I had obtained on the floor in the corner of the locker room. I got them all from a snack truck. I saw they were selling a menu item called roasted marshmallows, so I thought maybe, and they had both. They gave them to me for free when they saw my membership. Rather than making me happy, it felt even more ominous. I wiped my mouth and reopened my smartphone. I had to start quickly.
1. On a smooth floor, dip your finger in water and draw a hexagram using the enclosed design. 2. Place the good friend in the exact center of the hexagram. 3. Place the coin on the belly of the good friend. At this time, your fingers should not have any remaining water. 4. Hold a tablespoon of salt in your mouth and burn the item related to a friend using fire. 5. When the good friend starts to speak, swallow the salt and return the greeting kindly. If the coin has disappeared, the ritual was successful. You have met a reliable friend. Always keep them close and cherish them. Note, if you cannot swallow the salt, if it tastes strange, turns to ash, or if blood comes out.
First, I drew a hexagram on the marble floor of the locker room, exactly like the image. It was a bit complex, but not too difficult. It's shining strangely. However, the completed hexagram was excessively smooth, its surface gleaming without any smudges. After thoroughly wiping the moisture off my fingers on the hem of my clothes, I picked up the Good Friend keychain with trembling hands and placed it in the exact center of the hexagram. Of all things, it's a rabbit doll. I felt uneasy, but remembering that I bought it thinking it was cute at the pop-up store made me feel a bit better. I placed the item I had, the silver serpent coin, on top of it. This is technically a coin, right? I thought that rather than obtaining one from this ghost story, it might be safer to use an item from the alien shop from the plane of reality. Considering its price, it seemed to be a fairly valuable item, so I was convincing myself that it might even have a better effect. Then, after putting the salt in my mouth, finally, an item related to a friend. This also had to be something that didn't belong to this ghost story. I loosened my necktie. If it's my own item, it certainly doesn't belong here. A friend related to a necktie? I don't know who it might be, but it's better than something like a kitchen knife, and brought it to the end of the necktie. Like magic, the flame flared up fiercely, casting a shadow over the plush doll on the hexagram. Before I knew it, the surroundings had grown dark. All I could see was the flame consuming my necktie, the hexagram reflecting that light, and the plush doll at its center. My hazy mind didn't melt away. Instead, the salt in my mouth melted with its salty taste, numbing my tongue. The mouth of the good friend hugging the coin opened.
I am the ochre of a million masks, the lord of chase, the pinnacle of madness, the dream of pleasure and play, the instigator of war, the father of science, the low-lying quadrupt beast!
It feels like my head is being shaken violently. I want to cover my ears, but I have no free hands. I'm holding the necktie and the torch.
The desire of the crawling owns, the lord of stars, the abyss of illusion, the mouth of wisdom, the roar of impulse, the dark side of the moon!
The plush doll in the center of the hexagram is convulsing. In the middle, a silvery round object is burning away. The silver serpent coin. Did I use the wrong coin? My head hurts so much, so much.
Are you in pain, friend? You must not be in pain!
The flickering subsided. As the necktie burned away, the fire extinguished. The coin that had been on top of the convulsing rabbit doll had disappeared at some point. So had the moisture used to draw the hexagram. I swallowed the salt, looking at the good friend lying motionless. But no sound could be heard. A cheerful and pleasant voice echoed. It's a familiar voice.
Ah, so it is you, Mr. Rodeer!
The voice of the TV-headed host who conducted the live broadcast in that ghost story was coming from the doll.
Nice to meet you, my friend!
In a corner of the locker room within the theme park's creepypasta, a small plush doll moved its limbs and spoke. At first glance, it would be a life-threatening situation, except that I created this situation. The plush doll convulsed atop the now-vanished hexagram. It was then that I realized that I had succeeded in inviting the good friend into the doll. The monster with a TV head who was conducting the creepypasta.
I hope you join the crew of my new talk show as well, Mr. Rodeer!
I swallowed hard, recalling the last scene of escaping from that crazy creepypasta.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Host. Have you been well?
Haha! Nice to meet you too!
I remember you shining in the quiz show, Mr. Rodeer. Have you been well?
Well, I don't really remember.
Right. I've been well. I've been conducting the talk show, yes.
The voice coming from the plush doll faded somewhat, then regained strength and friendliness.
The important thing is that we have met again!
It felt as though the overwhelming supernatural pressure and fear were being pressed down softly before erupting. Because it's a good friend? It seems that the plush doll and the ritual are playing some sort of controlling role. Still, I have to be careful.
Mr. Host, I have a question.
Feel free to speak, friend.
Oh, by the way, that kind of title between friends is a bit awkward! Just call me Braun, Mr. Rodeer! Let's drop the stiff formalities!
Right, yes, Braun.
Yeah, even a TV-headed monster living in a creepypasta has a name. Anyway, the main point was urgent now. I spoke as politely as possible.
Actually, I'm trying to leave the theme park now, but I can't find the way out.
Goodness!
Theme parks are famous for their complicated structures and confusing paths.
Don't worry, I'm very good at finding my way!
I'm not lost, but the mascots are blocking the exit gate.
The plush doll was silent for a moment, as if speechless.
It's a unique situation, isn't it?
A pretty human-like reaction. I briefly summarized the structure of this theme park and what had happened, including the teams and zones divided by color and the out-of-control mascots. The plush doll lying on the floor folded its arms.
These mascots are really diva-like!
Such conspicuously rambunctious beings exist in the broadcasting industry, too. But one that hasn't appeared is bothering me.
A mascot that hasn't appeared, I reflexively thought.
Are you talking about the yellow mascot?
The last mascot, only mentioned in attractions with no trace.
Exactly! The yellow flower, isn't it?
Do you know where he is?
Since I found the blue mascot's zone, the yellow mascot's zone must be somewhere. If I find that place and go to that gate...
He must already be dead, though!
Isn't there a space like a botanical garden or greenhouse garden? Because it's a flower.
Oh, Mr. Rodeer, you probably already know!
The kind voice whispered.
Didn't you say it clearly yourself?
You said the yellow team also woke up on the outskirts of the blue zone.
If there was a yellow zone, the yellow team would have woken up there!
Wasn't that the promise?
The rule is that you wake up in the zone of the color you get. But the yellow team didn't. Because maybe there really is no yellow zone, and after a moment I opened my mouth.
I realized what I need to do.
Oh, what is it? Together!
The plush doll struggled as if trying to get up, but couldn't balance and fell flat.
Ahem! Mr. Rodeer, could you help me get up?
I cautiously approached and gently lifted the good friend keychain with one hand. It felt a warmth like body heat.
It's hard to maintain your balance. It might take a little time to adjust.
But don't worry, I'm a very capable being.
After pondering, I put the plush doll into the front pocket of my suit. The plush doll exaggeratedly raised one hand.
All right, let's go. But where are we going?
It's a place that can guide the way. A place that's definitely in a large public facility. One of those essential spots.
It's the information booth.
Of course, there were exploration records noting that the cheerful theme park also had information booths. Most typical amusement parks are fully equipped with them. The problem is that they weren't functioning properly. They did inform us of the locations of some nearby attractions. But when the requests were a bit complicated or required physical items, this happened.
Members only.
It means that having just an admission ticket isn't enough. Although they'd treated us as customers, it was meant to create a spooky atmosphere by implying that this place wasn't originally meant for us. Fortunately, I have a membership band on my wrist. In fact, as soon as the admission ticket was changed to a membership, I recalled several exploration records related to members only. Special souvenir shops, restaurants, and separate attraction entrances that allow entry without waiting in line. But there was a clear reason why I tried to avoid them as much as possible. Because I have to interact with the mascots. Because if I interacted with the crazy mascot who closed the gate without any information, I could trigger some horrific outcome. Just thinking about it makes me dizzy. But now that I had a monster friend who would act as a crisis alarm, I decided to give it a try.
Braun, if the person I'm talking to seems upset or might harm me, could you let me know?
Of course!
It's not a difficult task.
The plush doll cheerfully replied, then quickly came up with a few hand signals we could use. It was indeed a quick response befitting someone in mass media. And after a short while,
Over there. Oh, it looks pretty convincing.
I approached the information booth, hearing the good friend talking. The booth was made of opaque blue glass and a white screen. As I got closer, the screen opened, revealing the face of a blue mascot. It was the blue dragon in uniform.
Hello. I'd like to see a map of this place.
It was a convenient map showing various attractions, restaurants, and facilities of Blue Dream Water Park.
Members only.
I looked up at the blue mascot. There was a somewhat proud expression.
By the way, is there one that shows the entire area as well?
The movement of the blue mascot stopped.
I'm sure you know. But I came over here from the red zone without any procedures. I want to avoid going closer there again to prevent any mistakes.
I asked in the calmest and most polite voice possible.
What exactly is the boundary between the red zone and this area?
The mascot reached out its hand. The catalog map I was holding was torn by the blue mascot's claw. Along the eastern end, it tore down. As expected, the eastern part of the blue zone and the western part of the red zone were directly connected. My hands holding the torn catalog were shaking as if vibrating. Isn't it going to split me in half with its claws and kill me? At the moment the mascot lifted its claws off the map, I hurriedly nodded and expressed my gratitude. Then, on to the next topic.
Thank you, if that's the case.
From the front pocket, the plush doll tapped its chest twice softly. This is what it means. It seems the other party is not in a good mood. I immediately shifted my demeanor and only greeted politely.
Yes, I won't go near the red zone.
The blue dragon stayed still for a moment, then nodded its head. Then, rummaging through its chest, it took out another polite blue soda churros bag and handed it to me. The blue dragon tapped my wristband gently and then let go of its arm. Eventually, the screen of the information booth closed smoothly. I bowed my head, clutching my pounding heart. I felt like I was going to die of fear.
Hen! You're smiling, my friend! Are you feeling good? Did you find what you wanted?
I lifted my head and started running.
Now, I just need to move.
If I had asked the mascot more questions, I might have saved some time, but safety comes first. So from now on, I would use the most reliable means. There were only a few hours left. I looked up at the sky of the theme park, which was starting to darken. My legs were trembling from sprinting thoroughly around the gigantic water theme park, covering half a lap.
Mr. Roe dear, you seem terribly exhausted?
The plush doll asked with a pitiful tone.
It seems like the time has come to ask this question.
Exactly where are you trying to go?
I wiped the sweat dripping from my chin and replied.
We both seem to agree with the statement. There is no yellow zone. But why did you change your judgment? It's not that I changed my mind. I still believe there is no yellow zone. There must have been one in the past.
I lowered the map and looked ahead.
At that time, it probably wasn't directly adjacent to the red zone.
To the east was a forest, to the north was the entrance, to the south was a cliff, and to the west was the blue zone. The terrain fits perfectly without any gaps.
It must have been connected to some part of the blue zone. There must have been a connecting passage.
Excluding the north, which was also an entrance, and the east, which was adjacent to the red zone.
So you're thoroughly searching the west and south! Ha ha!
Unlike the red zone, there were no mascots chasing me to kill me here, so I could use this laborious method. And finally, I found it in a corner of the northwest, behind the restroom's flower bed. A rough dirt path leading up the mountain, like a closed hiking trail.
It must have been opened as a passage before.
The problem is, crossing this almost certainly violates the theme park's rules.
No entry except for staff.
After checking that sign, I slightly stepped out from behind the restroom and looked around. I made eye contact with a mascot standing in front of a children's attraction far away.
Are you bothered by that mascot?
Yes. If I cross into the no entry zone, I'm sure they'll notice.
Then just don't get caught!
But that's not as easy as it sounds.
Oh, cheer up! It's not difficult, isn't it me?
Your friend.
The voice of the good friend became somewhat crafty. Its unique confidence, slyness, and friendliness came to the forefront.
I will help you.
First, it would be good to take me out of your front pocket for a moment!
Then the plush doll sitting on my palm raised its hand and pointed at me. I flinched instantly, remembering how it burned people during the Tuesday quiz show. But this time was different. A small thudding sound echoed as the doll without fingers snapped its hand. A strange shadow-like thing heavily covered me. I was now faint and sinking.
Now, they won't be able to notice you.
Come on, let's go!
The voice of Braun, the good friend, sounded slightly weary and faint.
I turned off your lighting,
Mr. Rodeer.
We promised not to worry about people who aren't illuminated during the show, didn't we?
Was he managing the entire filming location by himself? I felt an eerie chill and looked down at the plush doll, but soon realized that wasn't my priority. I turned back to the restroom and stood in front of the closed narrow path. Then I crossed the no entry sign.
Let's set aside the praise and move first!
I was almost moved to tears by how grateful I was. I sprinted up the steep hiking trail at my maximum speed, almost sprinting away. Fragments of broken plastic and decorative items flashed beneath my hands and feet amidst the dirt. It seems like the place where something was is definitely here. I pushed my speed even more. Upward, further upward, and finally the end of the path appeared. I stepped forward and stood. From the top of the hill, I looked down below. A large-scale resort building was spread out next to the dark seaside. Did all famous franchise theme parks also operate such massive lodging facilities? It was so large it was overwhelming just to look at it.
Flower Golden Resort.
It was already a completely abandoned facility. The golden-lit resort must have looked like quite a dream place once. But now it was old, paint-peeling, and desolate. I looked at the sign with a yellow flower brightly smiling, which had a crack, and below that even the familiar but older machinery.
There's a gate at the entrance to the resort, too.
That was expected. The way back to the resort from the theme park was also a kind of exit. I ran again, forgetting my exhaustion. The shadow that had been covering my body snapped away, and my steps quickened. But the gate here is off too. Can I use it? I looked around the old gate mechanism and opened the emergency control panel. Just like I did at the attraction. And I activated the emergency power. Creaking, sporadic lights came on in the gate machine. Because the mascot had its eyes wide open, I couldn't do it earlier. This level of operation was manageable on my own. I stood in front of the gate where the lights were coming on most completely. I took a deep breath. Until the final confirmation.
Braun, if I enter that resort with my membership, do you think I have to use those facilities?
Ha ha! Those rundown places? Their business seems to have ended long ago, and it's already an ownerless property.
It's not a theme park, just land!
Thank you for the sharp and accurate assessment, friend. I immediately brought my membership to the gate. The old gate machine read my membership. The device's lights flickered, feeling a shiver as I moved my feet.
Goodness! They followed!
Far away, I saw a blue figure crawling up the narrow path. It was the Blue Dragon. The mascot in uniform that I saw at the gate was approaching at a terrifying speed, then stopped.
Tesk. That mascot thinks it's the protagonist of a drama.
Let's get out quickly!
This is completely a foreshadowing of revenge. There's nothing good about being hated by a being from a creepypasta, right? I thought and rummaged through my pocket, finding something that was still left. Alice's picnic set, cookie. It was this flat cookie item that I had never used before. I lightly threw the paper-wrapped cookie at the mascot.
Mr. Oh dear, you are excessively kind!
Anyway, I gave it to you, Dragon. As I confirmed that the mascot received the cookie in its hand, I crossed the gate. I escaped from the creepypasta. Amidst the world swirling around, I heard the faint voice of the good friend.
Now I'm getting strength! I feel like I can move!
I realized I was sitting in the conference room of Research Team 1 on the 17th floor, empty and dark, right in the middle of Seoul. I succeeded in escaping. Feeling an overwhelming sense of liberation stretching to the tips of my hair, I immediately stood up from my seat. A few hours had passed, so it seemed everyone had moved from the conference room. I thought of calling to let them know I had escaped. I looked at my wrist.
Cheerful Fantasyland membership.
The band was still there, and then it began to burn. In an instant, the form of the admission ticket disappeared, but something remained. Exactly where the admission ticket had been, there was a black inscription engraved on my wrist.